Ladies and gentlemen, just thought I'd do an update on my 3D printer. Quite a bit's changed in the last week or so. As you can see, I now have a heated bed. This is an Ultra Base from Big Tree Tech, or BTT, and I'm also using some silicon springs, and you can see that I'm using a couple of adapters to actually enable me to use a 220mm heated bed with a 235mm plate. So for that, I actually used some double-sided 0.25mm tape, which was a bit of a pain in the backside. I'll link to my instructions on how to do all that in the video section, description section below. As you can see, my Raspberry Pi has now changed position and is in a new case in vertical, and I've actually found that I'm getting better cooling even though I'm using basically the same fan and heatsink inside of that. The vertical case and the extra holes seems to work well. As you can see, I have the second Z-axis rail hopping along nicely, and I'm actually using some flexible couplers which are really quite nice. It's probably a little bit hard to see. Let me just see if I can get some crap out of the way. But I've also designed my own Z motor mounts, which allow you to use the Z upgrade and these wider mounts, because they're actually quite a bit thicker than the normal ones. Sorry about the motion, but yeah, these are quite a bit thicker than the standard couplers, but yeah, they're really nice. They've got a really good flexible joint design, and they don't separate you know, in a vertical sense. They've also got a nice little sort of section in here where it's machined so that when you drop the Z screw in, it actually bottoms out in the coupler, and then you can, and with my Z stepper mounts, you can actually then bottom this out on the actual stepper motor shaft itself, which hopefully will prevent it from, you know, having Z wobble. Anyway, we'll find out. I'm doing a test print at the moment of a calibration cube to find out. So the other thing that I would like to show off is I made this little mount here for the bed heater cabling and stuff. As you can see, that runs down underneath the wire rails, and yeah, that works really well. If we wander over to the other side, you can see the cables all come out over here, and then run into the back of the electronics box, which I have raised up simply because it was getting a bit crowded in there. You'll probably be able to tell by the racket that it's making that I have actually reverted to the stock Melzi board, although it's not stock anymore. I'll post some photos in the video, but I'm now using, I've added a second MOSFET for the heater, and that seems to be doing a pretty good job of driving the heated bed, obviously via my 12-volt power supply. So I've added some LEDs to that just to sort of light the bed up a bit better, and also some LEDs up here, again, light the bed up better. And my cheap and nasty webcam off Amazon was like 33 Australian pesos, which is pretty good. Oh yeah, what else have I done? Oh yes, I just installed today, which was a right pain in the backside, these clear polycarbonate wheels on all of those, which is quite nice actually. They are really solid, and yeah, they're not going to squish or anything, and I think they'll wear really well too. And I've also replaced my 3D printed Z screw stabilizers with some aluminium ones which are designed for the Creality printers, but I didn't like the bearings that came in them, so I replaced them with fully sealed bearings. The ones that came with it were shielded rather than sealed, and you know, I like sealed, and I had a stack anyway, so so yeah, this is humming along quite nicely. I've actually had it printing up to 100 millimeters a second recently as well, which was a lot of fun. Let's have a look. So this cube here, I printed that at 100 millimeters a second, and it actually turned out quite well. There's only 2 layers as well, so that's why it's so transparent, and I think the infill is like 1% or 5% or something ridiculously low. So so yeah, it, you know, from a quality standpoint it's not fantastic, but for 100 millimeters a second on this printer, considering it previously would, you know, max speed was really recommended as no more than about 70, and I'm going a full third more than that basically. I was pretty happy with that, so I'm gonna have to do some more speed runs and maybe do a speed benchy and see how fast I can print and still get decent quality. So, you know, I've obviously got a couple of benchies. This one's not the greatest because I was having some blobbing and a few other issues and a bit of Z axis banding, but this one turned out fairly well. You know, no stringing or anything, so just in PLA at 200C. We'll see how we go, and yeah, I'll link to how I added my heated bed build to this, because that's just transformed this printer. I can just print, you know, absolutely loads of things with no warping or anything anymore. It's really fantastic, because I was starting to get a bit frustrated with using glue to keep things stuck to the bed, or rafts for more complicated things. So so yeah, pretty happy with that. Oh yeah, actually that reminds me, one thing I did add as well was some, I don't really need them, but I think it's a good idea. I added some corner sections. These are cast aluminium from Banggood. They're like cheap as, and yeah, they just use T-nuts, and I use them to lock the corners in and make sure the corners stay square, and I threw a few on the front as well for laughs. And yeah, I mean my printer was square anyway, but I figure I would like to keep it that way. So yeah, especially when you're running dual Zs, it's definitely a good idea to do that. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.